RTX 380 benchmarks are finally live. I'm sure you guys have been inundated with various videos with benchmarks and talking about the thermals. So I've been watching and reading as much as I can. I want to give you guys my summary conclusion. Was the RTX 3080 worth the hype with what we know now? Let's get into it. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology. Remember to subscribe if you like my content, leave a comment below, smash that like button, makes me happy, helps the channel grow. So let's get right into it. RTX 3080 at 9 a.m. Eastern time today. Pretty much every single person's mailbox that have watched anything concerning the RTX 380 or the Nvidia 3000 series were absolutely inundated with video after video with benchmarks and different cooler performances. Some are very technical, some are more general. So I've been watching and reading as much as I can. That way I can form sort of a singular opinion and just give you guys a little quick breakdown from the hype that we were hearing before to how it actually translated to the real world now. I also plan to do my own benchmarks and testing, but like everybody else, I have to wait to get the GPU when it goes live tomorrow, as I didn't get an early sample. Hopefully in the future, Nvidia will be nice enough to send me an early sample so I can do a lot of benchmarks and testing. So the RTX 3080, how's it looking so far? Well, actually pretty good. It seems like for the most part, it really lived up to the hype and performance numbers are absolutely amazing, just like Nvidia said that they were. I know previously when people said, oh, Nvidia said that the 3070 is going to perform better than a 2080 Ti, the 3080 is going to be twice the performance of a 2080. In a lot of cases, people were like, you just got to be careful, wait until the benchmarks come out, because everybody feels a little bit gypped by last generation's 20 series GPUs, which were supposed to be considerably better than something like a 1080 Ti, but it ended up that even the 2080 Ti, as good as it is, the performance difference really wasn't all that massive. So that's why a lot of people completely skipped the 20 series generation, also pointing to sort of Nvidia's lower sales number in terms of gamers. And now everybody was really hyped up about the RTX 3080. Of course, the 3070 is coming later, and the 3090 is its own special little card. So the 3080, according to everything that I've seen and read so far, and today I've been doing a lot of that, so that way I can get a good idea and compare different tests so I can see exactly where this GPU lands. The overall answer seems to be yes. This is definitely the GPU that everybody have been waiting for. If you purchased a 1080 or a 1080 Ti way back a few years ago for $600-700, this GPU at $699 definitely presents itself as an absolutely incredible performance value. If you're coming from one of those cards, your performance in regular rasterization, which is basically just a regular frames per second performance, everything that we're used to, should be significantly higher, 2 to 3 times higher. Not to mention you're going to be getting ray tracing as well as DLSS, which is like deep learning. It's something Nvidia developed to just give you much better performance. It's much more intelligent. So from what I've seen so far, the 3080 pretty much handedly beats the 2080 Ti pretty easily. Of course, we kind of expected this because after Nvidia said the 3070 was going to beat the 2080 Ti, pretty obvious the 3080 was going to really trounce on it. And in many cases, even in regular frames per second performance, not even to mention RTX, it does an absolutely tremendous job. If you're using all of the latest Nvidia technologies like DLSS, and if the game is properly optimized for that, even at higher resolutions like 4K and things of that nature, this GPU absolutely is a whole different level than the 2080 Ti, and considering that it costs $699 compared to the 2080 Ti $1199, that's pretty incredible. So it's significantly cheaper and significantly more performance. So I'll say, as we have most of the details now with the benchmarks, the 3080 is stacking up pretty much to be the best GPU that's come out in a very long time. Of course, all these gaming numbers also translate to other exciting areas in like content creation. Any program that really utilizes the GPU is definitely going to see tremendous benefits, not to mention 3D rendering and different workloads like that. This is definitely going to be a next level card. And I think if you just think about it very simply, a GPU this powerful is going to be in the hands of more creators, more creative people. That means in the future, likely we're going to see better and better quality, not only content like films and things of that nature, but also, you know, different games and even different animations. So it's great that such powerful hardware is finally reaching the hands of the everyday consumer as well as the prosumer. So in terms of some of the gaming benchmarks that I've seen, it looks like at 1440p, the 3080 is performing as well as the 2080 Ti does at 1080p. Now that means a lot of things. It's not just the better performance, and of course 4K is amazing as well. This means that a lot of people now most likely are going to be looking to upgrade their monitors. Unless you want to use 1080p, like 360 hertz for high refresh rate esports gaming, or even 240 hertz, 1440p seems like it's going to be sort of the ideal resolution where a GPU like this can get absolutely crazy numbers, and having better resolution, in my opinion, just makes the gaming experience better. After I started playing in 4K and saw those beautiful, nicely crisp, detailed resolutions, and I went back to something that was lower resolution, I really noticed the difference. I think that 4K gaming, especially with the 3080, is finally here. You don't have to spend a huge amount of money to be able to do 4K gaming. A lot of 4K monitors are also significantly cheaper now with high refresh rates. I'm going to be doing a video specifically on the 3000 series and which monitors to get, as I think this is going to be a pretty big and important topic, just because these GPUs basically level up your entire system. You don't have to play just at 1080p now. You can jump up to 1440p, ultra wide, 4K. You're going to be able to do all those resolutions absolutely masterfully with something like the 3080. And also the early reviews also touch on how good the cooling system and sort of that stock Founders Edition cooler that Nvidia designed is. Seems to be fairly quiet so far. Temperatures, even during a lot of testing and different loads, seem to be staying really nice, cooler than last generation. So that's definitely going to be a very big positive. But one thing I'll say with the cooler, I think a lot of people that are benchmarking the card now, of course they have to do it quickly. They don't have too much time. A lot of them do it on an open bench, so that way the air kind of goes everywhere, and that can tell you certain things, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. What I want to do as soon as I get my hands on the 3080, I want to do some really deep long-term testing on it inside a case, maybe even with an air cooler. That way I want to see if any of that air, due to this unique GPU sort of shooting the air up, is going to have any effect on your CPU temperatures. So now some of the early reviewers seem to not be so sure yet, say it may not be that big of a deal because the air coming out of the GPU isn't too warm, but I think for something like that, you really have to do more long-term testing, actually use the system. So then the question is, should you buy it? I think if you're in the market for a GPU and you were waiting, I think this is definitely a go. I think you're much safer now upgrading to this rather than before with the 20 series. Maybe the bigger question is, how's the availability going to be? Supposedly it's going to be going live tomorrow. I think, especially considering all of the positive reviews and benchmarks that it's been getting, I think it's going to sell out really fast, especially the Nvidia Founders Edition. People are very interested in that cooler. So I think I would keep an eye on the Nvidia site. It's going to go live tomorrow. Some places may be getting it like Best Buy, but I definitely think it's going to sell out really fast. And some of the third-party partner cards are also coming. Some of them may take a few months just because it takes them longer to develop certain coolers. They don't have as much time. But I think for now, it may be a little bit tricky to get your hands on unless you get lucky and order it right away and you're able to get it. Or else you just have to wait a little bit as the other partner cards come out, and perhaps Nvidia restocks their own GPUs. Something else I want to keep an eye on, CPU bottlenecking. This has been definitely a pretty big topic lately. So far, some of the reviews address this, some not as much. I think we really have to wait until these GPUs are out there in the world and people actually use them more reviewers get more time with them. Of course, so far, a lot of people seem to be benchmarking them either with a 10900K or with something like a Ryzen system like a 3950X or a 3800 XT. So we're going to have to see what type of CPU bottlenecks there exist in older systems. In some processors, maybe let's say like the 7700K, if it's overclocked to 5 gigahertz, I think in a lot of games, especially if you're playing 4K and perhaps 1440p, you may be able to get away with it in some games at those resolutions where it's not going to require you to get an entirely new CPU. But keep in mind, there are definitely a lot of games, maybe even like Call of Duty or Battlefield, that take much more advantage of like multi-threaded CPUs, newer architectures, because they have much bigger, more open worlds, especially if you're playing online. It's a ton of information. Then with games like that, I think then you're definitely going to start seeing a lot of bottlenecks with a 3080, with something like a 7700K or an older CPU. Some games you should be okay. Some of these bigger, more expansive games, you'll definitely see bottlenecking, but that's something I definitely plan to address in my future videos. I'm going to keep an eye on sort of the CPU performance. That way, a lot of people, I'm sure, would like to know if they can stick with their current CPU or upgrade to something newer if they really have to, if they're planning to get something like the 3080. All right, guys, just wanted to give you this quick little video with some of the stuff I've been seeing so far. 3080 definitely looks exciting. If you're planning to get one, write it down in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you guys on the next video.